Yeah. Hey Des, look at you, alright?
Hey, I'm Des too.
Yeah, old Des.
Hey, Des.
Alright, you got Des.
Good to meet you, Des.
Oh, no, Des. How are you?
Are you ready? Are you ready? Desi, are you ready?
Desi? You ready, Desi?
No, I'm not Desi, you're Desi.
No, you're Desi.
No, you're Desi. No, I might be Desi, but you're definitely Desi.
I'm Desi.
You're Desi? I'm Desi. There you go, Desi.
G'day Titans fans, Clarkey here. Welcome back to the Gold Coast Titans Frontline Podcast, joined every week by my co-host Blaze to talk all things Titans. We are going into round 4. We've got a big game this week against the Cowboys, and it feels like, at least from my perspective, having not been in Australia for a week, Blaze, we're coming into this game as a community pretty down and dejected, man. Like, we can't really sit here and sugarcoat. We have to be real with people. People know this is not what we expected for our season, and it's a bit of a tough time, man. But apart from that, how's everything else been on the Titans front for yourself?
Oh, yeah, no, it's been great, mate. Yeah, last week I had to hold the podcast all by myself. So let's just clarify for everyone here. Firstly, hey, welcome back to the Frontline. Guess what? We have a guest here today. We have a guest, and that man is named Clarkey's Rugby League column. Because obviously last week, if you tuned in, it was just me. It was a very heartfelt and kind of deep kind of just discussion between you and me that actually went for about an hour to an hour and 5 minutes. I thought I'd be here for 20 to 30. But it just, I guess because so passionate, I spoke for the whole hour or so on 3 of our losses. Clarkey, yeah, Ipswich, Jets, Tweed, Seagulls, and the Titans lost. But yeah, obviously, very disappointing overall. It was very difficult to do a podcast by myself after a 32-0 loss. But at least I've now got you to go through another loss that we've had against the Dolphin in that one. And look, I'll be there in Townsville this week. But yeah, you're right, man. Like, I think it's getting to the point now where we are very, very down and dejected. You know, it's not just about kind of... And, like, we've still got to hold out our hope. We're still going to believe in this team. We're still going to be podcasting every single week here on the Gold Coast Titans Frontline Podcast. But, yeah, man, you know, you can't hide from it. It is very, very dejecting.
And, dude, I don't know about you, but just the amount of crap that I'm copying online for being a Titans fan. Like,
I don't know about you. You reckon?
Oh, man. So I do like a power rankings every week, and I have a category unlikely to play finals at this stage. And I had us in there last round in with the Bulldogs and Tigers. That's the lowest category. It doesn't get lower. You know, you're unlikely to play finals. It is what it is. Like, someone commented Titans should be in their own category, and it had it was the most liked comment on the post. I can't post anything without someone commenting, you know, stick to your own crappy team. We are in a bad way across the NRL at the moment. We have to respond against the Cowboys. At the moment, it is tough to see, and it's just a really tough time, man. Like, mate,
I'll show you some of my comments here from the vlog, because obviously for people who don't know, I do vlog every single game and put it up on BKRsport. My most recent one is time to jump on the Panthers bandwagon, you flop. There is Titans have an absolutely realistic chance of going 0-10. There was one that I had to delete that was quite full on. Titans may not get a win to a June. It's a tough draw. At least people are understanding that the passion is there. But yeah, man. Yeah, no, we're and like on Instagram, I can't make a comment without, like, for example, today, like I commented on that English Super League thing.
Lewis, someone his name
is?
Yeah,
Lewis Dodd, I think it was. Yeah, Lewis Dodd, I think it was. And there was an article that said, oh, he's not interested in coming to Australia. And I thought I'd make a joke like, okay, this is what happened. The news before, the world before this news dropped, and it was just a picture of the Earth. And then the world after the news dropped, and it was the same picture of the Earth. And it's just a little bit of a joke. They got a lot of likes, but then the comments were, hey, they're still better than the Titans half. He's still better than the Titans half. Or, you know, our Titans halves a New South Wales Cup or something like that. So, yeah, nothing that we can do right now, we will get away from it. And it's really, really difficult. And I want to put this out there for everybody else as well, because I also received some we both did actually, on Reddit, a comment basically saying that we're, you know, with the false belief that we have in this team, you know, that everybody cops it the same. And it's like, everyone does cop it the same, man, as fans of this club, and everyone does really, really get hit by it. But you've also got to remember that we're putting our faces out there, so it becomes personal a lot of the time. We're such a large audience as well. So, you know, I understand Titans fans might be frustrated that, you know, everyone has been led down this path of belief, but you've also got to understand that we're not lying to you. We do believe in this team. It hasn't worked out, and we've got to take the brunt of it all, but just know that, please, if you're a Titans fan, can you not go at us as well? You know what I'm saying? Like, we understand, man. We understand your frustration. So, you know, that's what I have to say. Like, Titans fans, we are in this together. I spoke about this with a lot of our organisation on the weekend, and it's really hard. But please, let's all just not start fighting our own, is what I would say there.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm not perfect with that. I did do a few posts venting my frustration after the Bulldogs game. What I would say to Titans fans that are embarrassed to wear our club colours, that are embarrassed to show up to games at the moment, for anything that I say on this podcast, I genuinely believe it. There are weeks where I'm not going to tip us, but I genuinely did believe in my heart, and I wasn't trying to lead anyone down a false path. I honestly thought we'd be 5-0 this season. I literally thought we'd be undefeated coming into round 5. There's so many reasons for that. It means nothing now. I know that. All I can do is apologise if you do feel...
I said this last week, man. I actually spoke on behalf of us last week and said, we're not lying at you guys. We believe it, but we do apologise if you have felt like we've led you down a path of belief that isn't there, even though everyone felt like this before the season, right? And I feel like there's a lot of projection going around, and it's like, yes, it is a very, very, very tough year, but... like, as you've just said, and as I said last week, you know, we do have this belief in this team. We just do. And if we're wrong, as a content creator, you can't be afraid of being wrong and being a content creator. So we're going to do our best, and we're going to keep on supporting this team. But we're also at a point now where we're pretty realistic about what's happening.
Absolutely. Like, you have to be realistic. We went from, we think we're going to be top 8, maybe top 4 this year. We've now lost our most influential player that's soaking up $1 million in the salary cap in Tino. Obviously, we wish Tino all the best with his recovery, but just purely from an on-field perspective, that's obviously bad for the whole club. We need Tino. It's as simple as that. We haven't got the results we thought we'd get. And I think it's... and this is why this hurts for me so much to say, Blaze, and this is not going to sit well with Titans fans, because this is what we've done for 10 years. It's about reframing our mindset into small positives and small wins each week. Why does that suck even more so now than it did in the last 10 years? Because without Kieran Foran, we don't have a genuine half at the moment, an out-and-out leader in the halves. You know, Tommy Weaver and Tanah Boyd, if they were our starting halves combination in 2025 rather, I couldn't sit here with a straight face and tell you we're going to make the top 8. And Kieran Foran is only getting older. So... look, you know what? I'm going to say one more thing, and then we're going to leave that in the past. We're going to leave last week in the past. And I had to get this off my chest for a whole week. I couldn't.
Well, we'll still have to review the Dolphins game, but yes, we'll leave this conversation for a little bit. Yeah.
So I actually got that wrong. I meant going back one more week rather with the Bulldogs game.
Oh,
sorry,
okay,
guys.
Yeah.
I thought it couldn't get any worse. I wanted to cry. I wanted to scream. I wanted to punch something. I wanted to just release emotions watching that game. And I didn't know how I felt. I wasn't even disappointed at the end of it. I just couldn't believe it. I was just dumbfounded. I wasn't sad. I wasn't angry. It was a feeling of just despair. A feeling of, here we go again. Why did I even bother getting my hopes up? I hate this team. I was so angry. And, you know, those are in the moment feelings. Obviously, they've passed now. I love this club. I love everyone involved with the club and the great community we have. But I thought it couldn't get any worse. You know, it can't get any worse. We lost 32-0 to the Bulldogs, who I thought would be in the bottom 4 this year. Then we go ahead and lose to Burleigh in reserve grade, who left us to go to our arch enemies, the Broncos. It gets worse. I think, okay, it's all good. Then we go into the Jets game, who are the Dolphins who we were versing the next week. And the Jets showed some great improvement last week. They don't score a point. It gets worse. I think, okay, well, I'm below rock bottom here. This sucks. Open my phone. ACL tear. Tino gone for the season. I could have thrown my throne out of the window at that point. Oh, it's been a really tough fortnight. Look, let's leave all that in the past, mate. Let's jump into the usual podcast. For those that are listening and are regular listeners, this podcast will be a little bit more ad-lib rather than structured like we like to do usually. That's due to Blaze being super busy and myself also. So we're going to go ad-lib. There might be a little bit more editing than you're used to, but it will still be a great podcast. We'll still do our best to make it an interesting podcast.
Fire up, man. That's all we can do.
It's going to be a great one, man.
Hey, listen, that's all we can do, man. You know, we have our in-the-motion moments. Like, at games, you guys, if you're at Seabus, you see me, you know what we go through there, man. Like, of course, we're going to be emotional at the moment, and then we're going to talk like this, as people have been commenting on YouTube. If you're on Spotify or Apple, obviously we appreciate you. Hit that follow button, give us a rating, whatnot, and I think you can comment there as well. But as we're getting comments on YouTube, this is a therapy session. Like, this is genuinely just a therapy session where we're venting our thoughts and feelings and emotions. You guys can comment it as well. And this is how we have to have our outlet to say, you know what? This is what happened. We can't do anything about this. And now guess what? We move into the next part. We move into the Cowboys game. But we still have to review the Dolphins game a little bit later on. I guess there just is a little bit of chatting here because, one, Clarkey wasn't here yet last week. And also, two, because it's just that time. It's that time where we need to kind of have that little bit of a brief chat beforehand. But obviously, we'll move into the next segment now. But yeah, it's tough times. We just got to. It's not like we are the most mentally resilient club in the game. Because I say this and people go, oh, but what about the Tigers? You know, they've won 2 wooden spoons in a row. Hey, well, listen, we weren't too far off them both of those years. And also, they won a premiership in 2005. They've got Balmain and West that they can go off. You know, they've got that success in the past, that history, that culture. We are the only team. I guess the Warriors, but the Warriors have a larger fan base that can protect themselves. We don't have that large fan base. Go on.
The Warriors still know what success looks like. They've still made a grand final. They've still had years like last year where they're in the top 4. They've still had years where they've had a Dally M winner in Roger Tuivasa.
Yeah, we had 2010 though. We had the prelim in 2010 though.
But Blaze, we've got to be realistic. We don't know what success looks like on the Gold Coast. You know, for Tigers fans to sit there and say that, oh, we know how you feel, we have it the same. Not really. You know what it feels like to win a premiership. You know what it feels like to hit the peak of the mountain. As Titans fans, we know what it feels like to get kind of close with a prelim, but we don't know what success looks like. We've never had success. We've had good years. That's as good as it gets. Mate, I bought a bar mat from a footy store, and every other team bar the Warriors had premierships, and they had all the years. We were the only one that had years made finals in the bottom right corner. Do you know what I mean? Like, you're so right, mate. We are so resilient as a community and as a fan base. And all we can do in this times is just keep turning up for each other and turning up for this team. Because at the end of the day, we all want the same thing, right?
You know who I'd say is the only team that I think would have some form of an understanding would be a certain age bracket of Rabbitohs fans. And the reason I say a certain age bracket is because they got kicked out of the comp and then obviously come back in. But if you're above the age of like 40 or you're 30, like me, it would have been a little bit too young still. It was been like 5 years old. So if you're in your late 30s onwards, right? Then I understand Rabbitohs fans having that kind of comparison. And there has been so many Rabbitohs fans trying to bring themselves into the dumps with us, which has been really weird, to be honest with you. But like, they've still won a grand final in the last 10 years. They've had multiple prelims. They've had another grand final that they lost in those 10 years. So they're not there now. That's why I said the younger fans don't know anything about where we're at. But the old Rabbitohs fans, 2000s were awful. The 90s were awful. And then they got kicked out. And then they've come back in since then. So they're the only fan base that I really think can look and say, you know what? Because the Warriors have never won a spoon. They've never won a spoon ever. They've never won anything. They've been there, but they've never won anything. So they're kind of like the leader of the mid-off there. But yeah, that's the only team that I would say could even think about that. But anyway, let's get on to this next section, because otherwise we're just going to talk here for 3 hours, to be fair.
Mate, we could talk all day. I also watched the Building Titans documentary from our 2021 preseason. It's on YouTube if any Titans fans want to watch it after this. I'd be keen to see people's observations. Final point from me, if the comment section aren't working to get out your thoughts each week, we can also consider releasing a hotline where you can kind of ring up, leave a voice message, and we can play that on the podcast and react. So please let us know if you are interested in that. Alrighty, let's turn a page, Blaze. No more negativity for this segment. Let's go to our new segment that we simply had to introduce last week and the week before. Time for a trip down memory lane where we look at a positive memory in our history against the club we have this week. Obviously, it would have been tough for you last week with the Dolphins. I'm guessing you skipped the segment. Fair play.
Mate, there was no segments last week, mate. There was no segments, man. We just got through that podcast and we moved on.
Fair play. Look, if any viewers found that therapeutic. So, trip down memory lane. We're against the Cowboys this week. And I didn't have to go too far in our history, mate, to come up with a moment here. I think you know the game I'm going to say. Most fans is probably rattling in their memory right now. Round 22 last year. We come up against a red-hot Cowboys side that has won 6 in a row since the loss to Parramatta, including wins over Penrith, including a 74-0 win over the Tigers. Essentially, at this point of the season, the Cowboys had to keep winning to keep their season alive because they were around the same points as the Raiders, Sharkies, Roosters, Rabbitohs, etc. They head to Seabus Super Stadium against 16,500 Titans fans, well, fans in general at the game there, and we down them 22-13, which essentially, looking back, man, it ended their season. Now, I don't take any solace in ending another team's season, but for us as a Titans fans, we needed a win there, right? We were down bad. I'm pretty sure we got pumped by the Roosters the week before. Go back to round 22 for me. Do you remember your vlog? Do you remember the atmosphere? Do you remember the feelings afterwards? What do you remember from that game in particular?
Oh, yeah, I remember it. I remember it all right because, yeah, we were having another tough season. Hey, fun fact, guys, we have that quite a lot here. But, yeah, I remember going to that game and I don't think anyone gave us a chance. The Cowboys were flying. The Titans were not flying. And our season was over. Well, our season had just been over because I think we had to take something from that Warriors game a couple of weeks back, which was great, but we still lost that game. And then we had the Roosters the week after, and we lost that one too. So, yeah, our season... What was that?
Robbed that game by an incorrect send-off. But sorry, please continue. Yeah. We're keeping it positive here, man. What are you bringing that up for? Come on.
No, because I'm getting into it. Let me just leave me alone, man.
Let me flow, man.
Let me flow, man. So we had a couple of losses there. Our season was done. And the Cowboys game came around, and obviously everyone was just thinking, no, that's it. We're going to get thumped here because the Cowboys were rolling. And that was a great atmosphere, man. Oh, it was really good. It was really fun to be a part of. And, yeah, look, I think we were down 13-10 at halftime or something like that, 13-12 at halftime. And then I don't think we gave up a point in the second half. Val Holmes was binned in that game, and that was I think he got suspended for like 6 games or something, 5 games or something ridiculous. And that was the end of their season. That was the end of the Cowboys season. So you say that you don't take any solace in ending other teams' years. I do. And that's not me, sending hate towards anybody else's team. I'm not doing that. What I'm doing is, at least we can impact the table somehow. At least we can have some form of a final say on other teams, and us winning impacts them. And I don't care if that's the Cowboys, the Broncos, the Rabbitohs, the Warriors, the Tigers. I don't care. Point is that having that impact on the table, and that is a dramatic impact because they were on a roll. So I'll take the solace there. But yeah, no, it was a great atmosphere at Seabus.
Yeah, man, it was great to nick a victory there and ensure they didn't play finals. So yeah, we scored 7 minutes in through AJ Brimson. They responded through Semi Valame and Cohen Hess. But then it was the Valentine Holmes sin bin, 20 minutes in. Philip Sammy, he's a try scorer. He goes in 2 minutes later, as does Jaden Campbell on the break. Alofiana Khan-Pereira scores in the 45th minute. And from there, it was an arm wrestle. But why I loved this game so much in particular, and as you did touch on, we were down by 3 points at halftime. We knew in this game we couldn't beat the Cowboys going set for set. And we need that mindset for a lot of teams. We're not going to beat the Panthers, the Storms, the elite of this competition going set for set. So what do we do in this game? We threw the ball around. We had more post-contact meters. We had 5 more line breaks. We had 21 more tackle breaks. We had 3 more offloads. We had more errors, but that was a good thing because we were throwing the ball around and risking it. That's what I remember from this game. It was we knew that we wouldn't win if we just played a traditional brand of footy, finish your set, kick to corners. We chanced our arm and we came out on top. And that's what I loved about it. And I will say, and we'll get to this obviously a bit later on with the preview. I don't want to skip too far ahead, but please just let me say here, we haven't done too bad against the Cowboys last year. I do believe, and I know you agree with this because you told me this, we would have beaten them earlier in the year if Foran and Brimo don't go off. So you could argue we are a bit of a bogey team for them at the moment.
Yes, I'll take that positive. But at the time, I definitely thought that. But then the season kind of dragged on and we had those comeback losses against us. So yes, I do believe we go on to win that game. But also there is a bit of context there for the later on in the season, thought processes to go back on that. But at the time, we were dominating them. But there was a lot of things that happened like that last year. But yes, I believe we would have won that game up there in Townsville.
Yeah, the comebacks, unfortunately, have reared their head up again this year. We'll get to that in the Dolphins review. But yeah, that concludes our trip down memory lane, Titans fans. And again, that segment is just here to remind you that we've had a lot of tough times. So let's embrace the good times we have had and remember them like we should in a positive light. Titans trivia time. Now, this is another new segment we introduced 2 weeks ago. This time we're going to go a harder one. This is a nice, short, sweet, sharp one this week, and it's a tough one, man. I don't even reckon you can get this one. Name every single Gold Coast Titans captain, not including stand-in captains, genuine captains of the club. Name every single one throughout our history. Now, it's pretty tough, man. I can remember the start and maybe like the last 5 years, getting back to like the Jamal Fogarty, Kevin Proctor kind of era.
I think the one that I definitely remember is Jamal Idris, because I remember him saying that I want to be captain. 2 weeks later leaving. But no, I'm not going to say the answer, because obviously people can comment that on the comment section and whatnot. But my answer is Jamal Idris.
Brilliant answer. Negative 10 points. No, of course not. Let's go into our Titans news section, guys. Please excuse my mouse clicking as I go through my tabs within this one.
Mate, they hear my mouse clicking after every week, man. So don't worry about that.
Click. No, I'm joking. Meet the team in Townsville and Canberra. So this is exciting. The Titans are going to be on the road for this week in Townsville and next week in Canberra. So if you are fortunate enough to live in Townsville or unfortunate enough to live in Canberra, you can get your tickets to the game and meet our team in a pre-game conference. It also includes captain's run. It's a great way to meet the team, right? Get stuff signed, get photos. And what it is an away Legion membership. But, you know, a lot of these stadiums, you didn't hear this from me, but say you buy that away Legion membership, you don't have to sit in those seats, right? Come and join Blaze and I over in the front line. You know, worst case, I'll take care of security. That's all I'm going to say there. But there is a big opportunity here to meet the team. And it's always awesome at these pre-game functions and post-game ones. Get there if you can. Injury report, apologies. Unfortunately, Phil Sammy's going to miss 3 weeks, man, due to the hip drop tackle from Max Plath. Now, why this is a bit unfortunate, it is what it is, but dude, like, he got suspended 2 weeks. We lose. Yeah, it was bad. That's the worst hip drop we've seen in a long time. Unfortunately, Kenan Palacia suffered a quad strain last week, so he has been ruled out for a week. Is he back this week? No, so he's still out for at least another week there with Kenan Palacia. And Isaac Liu also is out of the Cowboys game as he failed his concussion, which means he's ruled out for 11 days. So there's a few different injuries there, guys. We'll keep you updated each week if any of those timelines change.
Yeah, I think that something just to say as well is that in regards to that the members event, so I've been speaking with membership, and there is one obviously in Cowboys, Townsville this week. There is one in Canberra next week that we'll be at, and then there is also going to be one in New Zealand, in Auckland, that we'll be at as well. So there'll be one for you Sydney folk as well later on in the year. The membership department has been working really, really hard to, and these are free events as well, mind you. You just have to RSVP for it. But get as many people there as possible. Obviously, Titans fans only. And yeah, no, it should be great. The time we have in Melbourne, usually we don't have a Melbourne trip this year. We usually have a great members event there every single time we're there. But this year the membership have gone and yeah, they've done Cowboys, they've done Auckland, they've done Canberra, and there will be a Sydney one later on in the year. But all of our big away trips are this month, man. Don't I know it, right? So I'll be there for all of those. Clarkey will be there for the Canberra one, and I hope to see you guys there.
Yeah, I'd honestly I was considering coming to the Townsville one as well. I do have an inbuilt excuse. I just got back from Las Vegas where I traveled for like 30 hours one way to return. So I'm a little over travel at the moment, guys, if I do say so myself.
I'm so sorry you had to travel to Vegas. I'm so sorry.
How dare I? Final piece of news here, guys. This one's actually really cool in a special way. So the Titans have released an Anzac warm-up tee, which is the tees we wear when we warm up on the field before Anzac round, if the name didn't suggest that already. But these are quite cool, man. Like, these you can wear to the gym, to training of your own, PT, whatever it is. But they're very special. So Doug Baird, who is the father of Cameron Baird, who was a commando in the Australian Army, who has the Victorian Cross, he helped design this tee. And I believe funds will actually go to his foundation, which is, really, really special. I won't go over Cameron's story here on the podcast, but if you do want to Google it or YouTube it, his service to this country is absolutely incredible. What he did to earn that Victorian Cross is just simply so brave, and rightfully so. He got one of the highest honors you can earn as Australian with the VC there. Really important story. Really proud that we're partnered with his family for Anzac round. And if I'm absolutely honest, man, it's part of the reason I was so filthy last year when the Dolphins came back, because we were wearing the Cameron jersey.
Was that game? I thought that was the Bulldogs one. Was it? As they say, the Dolphins one, was it?
Yeah, it was the Dolphins one. I remember. Look, maybe I'm incorrect there. You've startled me, but I remember after the game, I was so angry because we didn't show any fight and any integrity to the jersey we were wearing.
You're probably going to be right, man. I'll trust your word over mine. To be fair, it might have been Indigenous round then, the Bulldogs game. It was definitely a special round as well. So maybe that one was the Dolphins and the Indigenous game as I'm thinking about. But yeah, I'm not too sure. Either way, same result. Same result
and an unacceptable result in Absolutely. That jersey any day of the week. But yeah, guys, that is all of our Titans news. So meet the team, a few different injuries. And if you are interested, there's a cool warm-up tee coming that you can wear to the gym, beach, wherever. Let's go to our Q Cup wrap. Now, for one reason or another, there wasn't Queensland Cup last round. I was a little bit confused why I couldn't find anything immediately on the website. Last round, which is going back 2 weeks now to our NRL game against the Bulldogs, our Tweed Seagulls lost 12-38 against the Bears at home. Sucks. And then the Brisbane Tigers pumped the Ipswich Jets 24-0, which is, we got our first win there in over a year, and then we got pumped the next week. So super tough week there. Anything you want to recap from those games before we move into the previews and talk about which Titans are available this round?
No, I think if you guys want to know the in-depth review of that Tweed game and the Ipswich game, you can go back to last week's podcast. It is just myself, obviously, but we did go into the stats and we did read through all that. So you can go back to last week's podcast if you want to hear about the review and analysis of those games. But obviously this week, going to round 4, Tweed are still without a win, which does suck to say. Actually, a part of our club right now, the only team with a win is actually the Ipswich Jets, which is crazy to say that. But this week the Tweed Seagulls, they play at home, Piggabeen Sports Complex in Tweed on Saturday at 5 p.m. Queensland time against the Papua New Guinea Hunters. Now Tweed are 15th, whilst the Hunters are 7th, and that's going to be a tough game. That'll be a tough game. Papua New Guinea are looking a lot better this season. They have won it before. They haven't been good for a few years, but now they're starting to make a bit of a resurgence there. I think as they're trying to get that NRL team license. So that's going to be interesting for sure. And then the Ipswich Jets, and also it's good because obviously Titans playing away this week up in North Queensland, so you can get down there at 5 p.m. on Saturday if you're down there in the Tweed area. And the Ipswich Jets take on the Redcliffe Dolphins. Jets are in 10th position while the Dolphins are in 6th, and this is at North Ipswich Reserve in Ipswich. So a couple of home games though.
Yeah, home games, we definitely need it. Mate, if you had have said to me, I'll buy you a coffee and I had to give you $1,000 if the Jets were the only team that had a win at this stage of both Q Cup and NRL seasons, I wouldn't have done it, dude. I would have thought you... I would not have done it. You know what I mean? Like, that's like $5 to $1,000. I wouldn't even consider this. This is crazy the way our season's played out. For the Tweed Seagulls, Tommy Weaver is named at halfback. Oscar Bryant, who featured in our preseason, starts at hooker this week. He's been coming off the bench. Jacob Arlick is named at back row, Blaze. And I don't know if you have any information on this. His surname has changed to Jacob Arlick.
I noticed this when I was doing my tipping video on BKRsport for this week, and I was like, when did that happen? Because I think it's actually been a couple of weeks now which I've noticed it, but yeah, I'm not too sure how to pronounce it, man. I'll have to ask Jacob when I see him next. But there's definitely a name change there because it used to be Jacob Arlick and now it's Jacob Arlick Wenke.
Yeah, Wenke, potentially not 100% sure on the pronunciation. And Vaka Sikahale comes off the bench, so him and Maxi Bryant swap. Important to watch because we do think they could be hookers of our future at the Titans. For the Jets, Jalen de Groot, who impressed in the preseason, he's on the wing there. Harley Smith, Shields, and Aaron Schott named in the centres. Someone will have to replace Harley as he's been caught up to NRL. Kenny Amalo is on the wing there. Josiah Pahulu is also named at prop, but won't be there, making his NRL debut. Sorry to spoil that surprise. Ryan Foran also starts at back row there, and Seth Nicotimo is coming off the bench for them. So,
which is good because he's been injured for a lot of the preseason, so it's good to see Seth is back.
Yeah, absolutely. It's he'll probably move into that starting prop role, you'd think, with Pahulu coming up to the NRL for us. So super exciting times there in Q Cup. If you guys don't know how to watch Q Cup, it's called Q Plus. So just Google literally Q Plus. It's a streaming service. I think it's like $5 for the round, and you'll be able to watch both of those games with our Titans players on show there. Alrighty, so yeah, plenty of Titans in action there. Let's move into our recap against the Dolphins. They defeated us 30-14 at Seabus Super Stadium with 13,900 fans in attendance, so slightly less than what we averaged last year.
Like, that's weird, man. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but like that's weird because it looked healthy. It looked really healthy. It sounded healthy for Titans fans, and I don't know, that just feels really odd. Like, we were expecting 15, 16K, and it sounded and looked like 15, 16K. So, yeah, 13.8, 13.9 is a bit of a weird number. I never got that from that stadium, to be fair.
Well, I think that could almost be a positive, that it shows the fans are still turning up and still passionate about our side, because from an atmosphere perspective, I'm not doubting you. You bang on there. You're at every game, right? So you probably are the best gauge of what the atmosphere felt like. But from an attendance statistical point of view, I would have expected a few thousand less just based on our 2 results in rounds 1 and 2.
It was the Easter weekend. You know, people bought tickets early on in the season without knowing what the form was going to be like. So that's why we expected 15, 16K as well. If it wasn't Easter, it would have been under 10K, I reckon, or 10K in general.
Yeah, no, that's fair, even though the Dolphins are one of our neighbours, I suppose you could say. So we scored 3 tries. They scored 5. They kicked 5 out of 5 goals. We only kicked 1 out of 3. So that is probably telling. They did have a sin bin to Max Plath in the 26th minute. They had more possession than us. They completed at a higher rate. They were better in every single attacking area. They had a faster play the ball. They had more offloads. Let me stop. Beat this, please. They beat us everywhere. Simple as that. It sucked in this game, mate. 39 missed tackles and 17 ineffective tackles. 56 tackles that were either missed or ineffective, so they were able to get up and get a quick play of the ball. 4 penalties conceded. 11 errors. We only used 7 interchanges. Like, we didn't even get the interchange right. Just everything for this game was an absolute disaster, man. Actually, no, let me take that back. 70 minutes was a disaster. I thought we started really well. But the thing is, Blaze, and I hate to be so negative on the podcast, I don't take any solace out of fast starts anymore, mate. We could score 100 points in the first 10 minutes. I don't care, because we're finding ways to lose these games. And what really frustrated me about this game was Des Hasler's post-match comments. Yes, I understand he has to keep face, but please, Desi, just be brutally honest with us. Saying that we're not quite there yet and we're not playing 80 minutes yet, we know that. That's why you were brought in to fix this. I'm not saying it had to be fixed in 3 games and 1 preseason, but I don't want to hear that excuse anymore from anyone involved with the Titans or any fans on the sidelines watching in. We're over that excuse that we don't play well for 80 minutes. We're well aware. We want to start hearing the improvements and how we're working to fix that. And unfortunately, we didn't hear that from Desi in the post-game press conference. So for me, Blaze, that was what was most disappointing. What was most disappointing for you being there live?
Yeah, look, I think that I think I'll just quickly reply to the Desi thing there, and that Desi has said since pre-season that give me 5 games. You know, let's see what it's like after 5 games. He did say this beforehand. This is before, you know, the games happened, and we all took acknowledgement of it and said, okay, you know, we'll be giving you 5 games. Now, we did not think that it would be 3 losses to start the season, right? But to Desi's defense here against what you've said, he is still sticking by exactly what he did outline before the season started, that he will be still pretty resilient with this team and specifically with this spine until after 5 rounds in. Des has maintained the same thought process and the same kind of... man, it's hard to explain. He's maintained the same topic of give me 5 games and then we will really discuss from there kind of deal. And yeah, that's the thing I would say there, is that I'm okay at this very moment with him still giving us the basics. But then after 5 rounds, after 5 weeks, I definitely would be questioning it for sure. I think that, again, us as fans, and I've said this before, us as fans are always going to be very emotionally reactive and very immediately reactive, and you can see that on the Facebook pages. I've seen somebody demand that we unretire Ash Taylor. That we unretire Ash Taylor. I repeat, Ash Taylor, the guy that everyone hated for so long. I see people demanding we bring back Toby Sexton. and saying that why'd we get rid of him when I guarantee you that person also said when he was here, get rid of him and bring in Tanah. You know, people are so immediately reactive, and you're entitled to have your emotional reactions, but this is why we say keep the faith in Des and trust in Des, because Des is the one that's there week in, week out, day in, day out with these boys. He's not just going to drop someone off of 3 games, and I know that everyone wants Tanah dropped. I know that. I'm very well aware of that. Everyone wants BK dropped, and then everyone complains that obviously Loffy's dropped this week, but I'll get into that in a second too and explain why. You know, the point of the matter is that everyone is so emotionally reactive and they want answers. And fun fact for everybody, unfortunately, you don't get what you want. You don't. The Desi doesn't give you what you want, because guess what? You probably, and this is not being just for you at all, Clarkey, but people don't understand that you're not actually involved in the selection process, and also you don't actually know really what you're talking about, because unless you're watching HostPlus Cup, and unless you're watching Tommy Weaver play, who hasn't been that fantastic recently, mind you, but unless you're watching the HostPlus Cup, what are you basing it on besides just sheer blind faith and blind hope? What are you basing your changes off? I don't think that people actually understand what they're saying, but they're just so demanding of change. But with that, they're so focused on what their beliefs are and their opinions are that they don't care what Dez's opinions are. Even though Dez is watching this, these people aren't watching this. They don't know. He does know. Bringing Tommy in at this point would be the worst case scenario. It would, because he'll be the next Tanah. He'll be the next Kane Elgie. He'll be the next Toby Sexton. He'll be the next Jamal Fogarty, who wasn't that great when he was with us, mind you, but better than what we're at right now. But with that being said, he's playing well at the Raiders. He wouldn't have played like that at the Titans, and he didn't play like that at the Titans. And then you go back to Ash Taylor. The thing that I'm most disappointed with right now is the fact that, yes, we're still having those second half fade outs without the fact that we're leading, because we're not leading anymore. We're just fading out dramatically. But people are so reactionary, and they're not willing to give it time. And I get why they're not willing to give it time, because we've had 14 years, and that's the time frame people are going off. And I think this organisation right now doesn't necessarily understand. This is where I'll defend the fans. They don't necessarily understand the fans' perspective, because the fans are talking from a 15 years perspective, whilst the organisation's talking from a now perspective. So these guys are arguing to say, hey, listen, bring this new guy in, must change, off of a long-term hurt thought process. And these guys are thinking, we're not going to change because it's so early, off a now process. So there's such a disconnect right now between the fans and the organisation, and no one's listening to the other, really. And I can take the side more of the organisation in the sense of the selection of the players, but I definitely take the side of the fans in regards to understanding the frustration and anger. So it's such a real volatile situation, this club right now, and it sucks to be in the middle.
Mate, you took the word out of my mouth. Disconnect is what perfectly sums it up, because fans want answers and want results now and want changes now, and the club are sticking to their long-term strategy, which is to win premierships by 2030, as we've been on the record saying. As fans, it doesn't look like we're going to get there yet. That's not to say we won't. We're reacting off the now. One area I do have to disagree with, though, mate, this is... I really hope Tanah doesn't listen to this. I doubt he will, but I don't think you have to know too much about footy to look at his last 2 games and say that he needs to go back to reserve grade and get some confidence, right? Because he has regressed so far as a footballer this year. His one great area last year was his goal kicking. He's not even getting that right. This week he had 8 missed tackles, 2 of which led directly to tries. And the week before against the Bulldogs, I don't even know how I should say this.
Do you want me to, say it. I'll reply, say it.
Okay, it was the worst game I've ever seen from a halfback in the NRL against the Bulldogs. He didn't get anything right for us. His kick options were very poor. He was rattled with multiple errors from Viliami kick-out. The kick that got charged down and led to a try was disastrous. The last time we've seen that in the NRL was like 2021. So it was the worst game I've ever seen from an NRL halfback. But it's fine, because I still believe in Tanah long-term in this club. I have to. he is our halfback, and I was really keen to see him go again this week. And I just thought missing those 8 tackles, 2 of which leading directly to tries, was probably the catalyst for Desi to say, look, I know Tommy's not going the best, but Tanah, please go back to reserve grade. Get your head right. Tommy, please come in and show us what you've got. Now, there's another club that's done that this year. I'm trying to think who it was. It was Wayne Bennett with Isaiah Katoa, another young half in round 1. He put him in reserve grade and he started Sean O'Sullivan. Round 2, he immediately said, no, this isn't working. It happened with the Knights, with Jackson Hastings. Now, that's an interesting case study because 2 weeks later, now Tyson Gamble's being dropped, the other half. We don't have that option with Kieran Foran. We can't drop him. So going across the NRL right now, there's no clear answer about what the right move is. But I just think Tanah needs a few weeks in reserve grade just to get his head right, mate. That's all. I still believe in him.
So what I'll say is you're entitled to say that. And this is what I'll say to everyone. Everyone is fair enough to have their opinion within due reason. Like, you've put that in a fair way. You've made that your opinion known without personally attacking Tanah. And trust me, I'll tell you, a lot of people out there are personally attacking Tanah because I speak to Tan, and he's off social media at the moment, and good. But
yes, can I just add one more thing? You just reminded me then with what you said. If Tanah turned around to me and said, hey, mate, appreciate your opinion. I'm a professional that does this every single day. You're a fan that watches it. I would say you are absolutely correct. I'm only offering my perspective as a fan. That's all I'm offering.
But the thing is that he knows this. He understands this. He knows he's not playing well. Most people don't give credit to the players to understand that the players know they're not playing well when they're not playing well. They're not just completely ignorant to this. Tanah knows he's not playing well right now. Now, the thing that I will go back to, you've gone back at that. The thing that I will return serve with is that if you put Tommy Weaver in now, who is not necessarily playing his most fantastic footy, whether that be for the Titans in round 1, who did get a lot of the blame, mind you. Everyone threw it at Tanah and also Tommy. And Tommy people started to realise, oh, maybe he might not be ready yet, right? So he goes back to Q Cup, didn't do necessarily too well. If you were to throw him into a completely winless team with the fans and the organisation kind of going in a very volatile situation away to a team that has won 3 games, lost 1 game, bouncing back off a Broncos loss in their most important game of the season, you put Tommy Weaver into the fire. The biggest complaint that people have always had is that we throw our young halves into the fire with nothing. Like, they've got nothing to back them up. They're completely on show. And if they mess up, everyone goes for their throat. Everyone goes at them. So if Tommy Weaver got put in this week, that could completely and utterly destroy who he is as a player. Now, I understand the thought process of, and I guess this podcast, guys, we're kind of mixing it up between the Dolphins and Cowboys game, but this is just kind of how it has to go at this point, is that if Tommy Weaver comes in and he's not the answer, well, then we've just destroyed his whole entire future in that one game because everyone will go for his throat, and then we won't know what we're going to do. So what do we do next week? What would we do next week if he came into this game, was awful, we lose by 40, and then we've already dropped Tanah? Do we bring Tanah back in straight away? Or are we keeping Tommy Weaver in there, even though he just got beat by 40? And then if we do that and then lose again, we could then put him on the same path as Toby Sexton. We could then put him on the same path as Ash Taylor, who just got thrown to the fire and then continued down that track. Or, what we're having now with Tanah. It's such a difficult situation. We have no depth in the halves. We outlined this before the season started, that our halves were our biggest issue going into this season. And I think that I don't want, because I love Tommy and I love Tan, but I don't want another one of our halfbacks to come in and have their career destroyed because they were thrown in too early and forced into a situation that's not good for anyone. Because I will go back and also defend Tanah on this point, like I did say last week, is that Tanah's not been good. I say this to him. He knows this. He said he hasn't been good. Everyone knows Tanah Boyd hasn't been good. He's probably number 17 in the halfback position across the entire comp right now, guaranteed. But our forwards are also not defending this man. Like, our forwards are not doing enough of a job. Jimmy Joel's having a great season. I'll throw that one out there. But we're not getting enough out of the forwards to actually give him space. That Dogs game last week, he had no room to do anything at any point. And that's why he kept getting charged down. Now, yes, there's just no confidence in this team. And it's all being lumped on Tanah's shoulders. And again, Tanah is definitely a part of the issue and a big part of the issue right now. But it's not all on him, which is what everyone's saying about Tanah Boyd right now. So that's where I come to his defense. But I'm not coming to the defence of saying he's playing well, because he's definitely not. But again, we just need... I just don't want to see Tommy Weaver's career ruined because we do to him what we've done to the people in the past.
But do you think there's a risk right now that we ruin Tanah's career just by burning him out? Because he's the one wearing all this brunt and, he doesn't have that opportunity to go back to reserve grade and, kind of get his head straight.
I think that it's a great
smaller
question.
Risk? I think it's a smaller risk.
It's a great question, and it's a worthwhile question, because nobody is wrong in asking questions right now about any point of this team. It's about the abuse that players or us as creators or whatever cop. That's the no-go zone. But everyone is entitled to ask the question and have their opinions and say we do want Tommy or we don't want Tommy, whatever. But we're on this podcast, guys, we're just providing another perspective. And in that perspective, to answer your question, I would say that if Tanah does not get a win against either the Cowboys or the Raiders, I could definitely see... Actually, you know what? I could nearly see this as last chance this game. I could nearly... But then again, Des has reiterated very frequently that this will be pretty much the same team for 5 games. And we are currently at 3. So if we're going to go via what he said, then we've got the Cowboys and the Raiders involved in those 2 games. So it just comes down to... if we lose by 40 this week, which I don't believe we do, but if we lost by that much this week, does he keep him there for the Raiders? I don't know, but your question is valid that, it's not that his career would be getting ruined by giving him another game, because as soon as he gets dropped, mate, he's not coming back. That's just how it will be. As soon as he gets dropped, the only way he'll come back is through injury, realistically. But who do we have in our depth? That's my question here.
Yeah, I've got a possibility at the end, which I'll throw to you, but 2 points I have to make is I believe players like Ash Taylor and Kane LG, whilst we did throw them to the Wolves and baptise them with fire in their careers and ultimately, potentially put them down a bad path, I with the way their careers panned out, I do wonder, if Ash Taylor played for the Storm from day one, how would he be now? If he stayed at the Broncos, if Kane LG had to move to the Cowboys when they wanted him with JT, ultimately we've got those question marks. But ultimately in rugby league, if you're ready, you're ready. And that we're talking, when we say that, it's Nathan Cleary when he came in as a teenager. It's Brad Fittler when he played for Australia. Lachlan Galvin now is a perfect example. But the difference between and what I thought we had with Tanah, which I don't quite know if we have anymore. I'm going to throw a few things I wrote down while you were talking. Cleary had Maloney. Michael Morgan had Jonathan Thurston. Cameron Munster had Cooper Cronk. Luke Keary had Mitchell Pearce and Adam Reynolds at the Roosters, Rabbitohs, respectively. The young halves that go on to have great careers generally always start with an experienced head beside them. And I really thought Kieran Foran was going to be that for Tanah Boyd.
I agree.
If we continue down this path, Titans fans, we have to be honest. It's not the right path. Now, I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm saying if we continue down this path with Tanah not at his best and not working out with Foran. So my question to you is, do we put AJ Brimson back to 6 and move Kieran Foran to 7 and say, Foz, you've got total control over this side. AJ, you're a second fullback in attack. Attack as you see with Jaden Campbell. Do we take that risk?
So the issue with that, and that, I guess this podcast is just us answering the questions that we can see everywhere, because, it just is what it is, guys. If the podcast goes off topic, or it's not off topic, but off track from what we normally do, it is what it is. I'm sure you guys are interested in hearing about what we're talking about, because it is the pivotal points of the team at the moment. AJ to 6. The issue with this is that we have moved this man from fullback to 5'8", to fullback, to centre. If we were to move him to... And Blake Russell, who's another Titans content... Well, he's not a content creator for the Titans, but he's a content creator. Daniel Blake, and he's a Titans fan. He put this question to me the other day about Brimo to 6 and then Kieran to 7. If you do that, that is the last switch that you can make with AJ. The next switch, if you move AJ, has to be his last, because he is switched everywhere. And it's you have to... Especially in the spine, too. If we're making that change and putting Brimo into the 6, we've said you're going to be centre. You're going to be centre because we've got JC as the fullback, and then there's obviously the question mark of JC coming to the halves as well, and Brimo to the fullback. It's all over shot. But if Brimo goes in that 6, then he must stay 6 for the rest of his career, in my personal opinion, because you can't keep switching out and changing roles, because otherwise he'll just always be confused on what he's doing, and the whole team will be. And then if we did that and put Kieran Foran into the 7, one, I don't think that he's a game decisive making halfback, which is what I think a halfback needs to be. I think he can play it, but I don't think he's that kind of guy. So I think that you have a very... Yeah, I think there is a big issue in regards to that as well. I don't think that Kieran Foran AJ, like, if you think about it, it doesn't exactly look like the most, especially with Kieran at his age as well. That's a really tough time to push him into that 7 and AJ to the 6. And then AJ's not going to be a great 6 immediately. Because again, he's going to have to relearn the trade, even though he understands how to play it, because he actually grew up playing it. You know, he's been changed fullback, centre, 5'8", fullback, centre, everywhere. You know, so it's such a big conundrum. But I just think that Desi will not make a change in that spine until, especially with JC having his first game back this week too. You know, like we've had Keanu there, and I love Keanu. This is not a shot at Keanu, but obviously JC was the one always coming back in that fullback. So we haven't had our full spine until now. And we did look improved with JC in that fullback. We did look improved. Obviously, we still got pumped by 16, but we did look improved. I think another big question is, like, what's happening with our 9 rotation that not many people are actually really talking about, because we don't have an attacking hooker. And I think that that's a huge issue right now. Sam Verrills hasn't really been attacking at all. Chrissy Randall is not known as an attacking hooker. He's more known as a defensive hooker, and he is a hard worker. And I talked about, I'm messaging this the other day, he's a tough worker. But like, everyone's so focused on the halves, we're not even looking at the hooker position, and that's such a big position right now in regard. Would you agree with me?
Absolutely, I would agree with the hooker position. I'll say a word on everyone that played last week, and I'll be brutally honest after this. AJ Brimson, you're right. So far, he's played 68 games at fullback, 6 at centre, 33 at 5'8", 2 at halfback, and 8 off the bench. In the World Nines for Australia, he did play at hooker as well. So there is that as well. Kieran Foran, you also make a great point, mate. Like, he's played 273 career games at 5'8", only 34 at halfback. I think if you want Kieran Foran to be a traditional halfback, it's not going to work at this stage of his career. But I also think for the long-term benefit of our club, if I had to make the call right now as a fan, without that intricate and specialised rugby league knowledge that all of our coaching staff have, I would go Foran at 7 and AJ at 6, just because I think long-term AJ could be a 6, and then I'd be looking to sign someone like Ben Hunt as that 7 for a year or two there. Again, it's a bit of a Band-Aid fix, but for where we're at now, I think it could.
Band-Aid fix, yeah.
And that's the issue. It's a Band-Aid fix. It's not long-term, whereas if you do it the other way, then, you know, maybe Tanah does kick on and become...
I'm going to reply to that as well in, like, it's a back and forth at this point. But in regards to Ben Hunt, like, do you think that he would actually come to play, or do you think he would just come for a paycheck to end his career as well?
Well, he's older than Kieran Foran as well.
Absolutely.
So there's that as well. Yeah, it's a good point. Probably not. You're right. He probably would be coming to...
If we got him last year, then I would have been like, okay, you know, he's still got a few years left in him. But I just feel like right now he could be the kind of guy that would just come. And this is no disrespect to Ben, but like, look at the loyalty that he's shown towards the Dragons. You know, has he got any loyalty to the Titans? I don't think so. You know, besides coming back to Queensland, where he just wants to come back to be with his family and whatnot and be where he's grown up. So I just get the vibe that I wouldn't make that signing because I just don't trust that he would be completely buying into the culture at his age.
Here's where I'm at with that. I'd be looking at the West Tigers. I think they've got one too many halves at the moment with Adam Dwayhe, Aiden Caesar, Jaden Sullivan. They've also got Lachlan Galvin and Latu Fayonu. Now, and Jerome Luai coming next year. I don't love any of those options. If we could let me rephrase. I do love Lachlan Galvin and Latu Fayonu, but it doesn't solve our issue because they're both young halves. Aiden Caesar next year, probably a year too old. It would be a very Band-Aid fix, whilst it would be cool to see him in our jersey, get him. Adam Dwayhe, 3 or 4 ACLs. Jaden Sullivan, maybe, but again, he's young. He doesn't fix that conundrum. So at the moment, I don't really know where the answer is going to come from. But on the hooker side of things, I'd go to the Tigers again, man, and I would go Talon De Silva. Yeah, really good young hooker for them because at the moment, you know, let me do it right now, Blaze. Please jump in whenever. Jaden Campbell, and this is season to date, also last week what I saw. Coming back from a serious injury, match fitness still not there, but still had some nice touches. Alofiana Khan Pereira looked really disinterested, like he didn't want to be there. And that's concerning for me because in the All-Stars game, he looked like he wanted to be there and he played good footy. What's changed with our club that means so much to us? Am I wrong in that assessment?
I'll jump in with Loffy and say that Loffy, and this is a big contentious point about the Cowboys game this week, that Loffy's obviously been dropped. And it's like, well, I'm not going to go and speak on the disinterested, but I will speak on the fact that Loffy last year got dropped for defensive issues and had to have a bit of a wake-up call, came back a few weeks later and absolutely crushed it. And this year, I went off on my vlog at one point because he was off his wing, and it's like there's only so much you can take before you start to lose your mind, especially at games. You're getting abuse from Dolphins, and you're getting abuse here and there. You're obviously dealing with your own emotions and feelings. You got fans asking you questions about like why is everything going wrong, and then Loffy's off his wing, and you're just like, okay, I'm going to lose my mind. Yeah. And I think that's what's probably happened here. And because defensively, Loffy has a lot of issues, and we're not getting him the ball. When he has the ball, he's one of the best attacking wingers in the comp. 100%. I'll 100% throw that and say he is one of, if not the best attacking winger in the comp for speed. You know, he's just unbelievable. But I'll bring up an interesting point that someone told, and again, love Loffy, will always back in Loffy, but it's a very similar situation to Greg Marzhew. He's a very, very similar situation to Greg Marzhew without the power in regards to his runs. So you give Loffy the speed, you give Greg Marzhew the strong power, but both of them defensively struggled. So there's a very similar case to be made from both of them, and I'm really happy we got Chrissy Randall in the trade, and I think that's the positive there, and I'm still believing in Loffy in the future. But do you see the comparison between Loffy and Greg Marzhew there?
I do. I definitely do. And I think where Loffy plays his best footy is when Dave Fafita is on his edge, because naturally Dave attracts that extra defender. And so if the centre comes in on Dave, the winger has to follow. The winger then has to go to our centre. And then that opens it up for Loffy with his speed, right? He hasn't had Dave this year, so that is something I will say in Loffy's credit. But, you know, only 67 metres. He has bulked up 5 kilograms in the off-season. We need a bit more from Loffy in those early sets. Brian Kelly, just on a different page to the rest of the team. Like, when we played the Cowboys last year, we played that attacking style, we took risks. Great. Love it, BK. You're one of the best at it. But when you're doing that and the rest of the team want to build sustained pressure and you come up with an error at a crucial moment, it really hurts us, man. AJ Brimson, still adjusting to centre. I want to see a bit more before I'm critical there. Phil Sammy, please put in a beep sound again. I love this guy, man. How does he suffer an injury that he's now out for 3 weeks now and have 229 metres, almost double everyone else in our team but Jaden Campbell?
I will say, I personally think that we should have activated the 18th man because we were allowed to do that because it was a foul play action on Phil Sammy, which, I don't know, like maybe it's 3 weeks or maybe it could have been 1 week if we didn't do that. Obviously, I care for our player there. I always care for all of our players, and I am like, why didn't we utilise that 18th man? But Phil was saying, you know, he was good, and obviously he was good. But yeah, like obviously Harley Smith-Shields was our 18th man. Like we could have utilised him, and maybe he could have done a job there. I'm not too sure. I'm just thinking of the care factor there for Phil there. To be fair,
no, absolutely agree, man. Our halves. We've already spoke about Tanah. Let's leave that because we're not in the business of taking unnecessary shots here. I'm just trying to call it as I see it. Kieran Foran hasn't quite been at the same standard. I'm not sure if that's because he's not clicking with Tanah this year. What I believe it is our forward pack aren't getting the same momentum last year that they got for Foz, and that's hurting him there. Same can be said about Foz.
Yeah, I'll say in regards to Foz, like he's come back. He's come back from an injury. Obviously, didn't play in round 1. I will say that it's not that he's not trying for everybody, right? There's a lot that goes on there. So he's definitely giving it his best work every single game, and it hasn't worked so far. But as we're about to discuss, it is coming down to the forwards, and it's crazy considering on paper we have some fantastic forwards. But yeah, I genuinely believe that the pure poor performances of our halves right now is actually kind of our forwards' fault. and I'm not giving any kind of excuses for our halves at all. I'm not providing excuses for Tanah or Foz. But our forwards, they're not giving them the space. And there are forwards that are. There are forwards that definitely are, but there are forwards that aren't as well. So we'll get into it.
Moeki Fodawaker. Now, this guy at his best is incredible for the Maroons against a formidable opponent, the New South Wales Blues. I still have him in my Queensland side off the bench, but I can promise you if Tino, Cohen Hess, and Thomas Gilbert weren't out injured for the whole season, Mo wouldn't be there in current form. We know what Mo's capable of, but he hasn't been at his best this year. Chrissy Randall at hooker. We need defense. I think we play him for 80 minutes at this point. We'll get to why in a second. Back rowers, as far as they're concerned, Cleese Haas is working hard. Not getting enough out of him in attack, but defensively, you cannot question. 25 tackles.
Cleese Haas has been one of our best players this year. FYI.
Yes,
no,
he has.
Not just for you, but like for everybody. Cleese Haas has been one of our best players this year. Yes, attacking-wise, not getting a great deal. But defensively, he's probably nearly our best defender this year.
Exactly. And, for Cleese, he's not really the type of forward you want just having straight hit up the middle. You kind of want to use him on an edge, like we saw him do against the Panthers, where he scored a brilliant runaway try. We haven't put him in those positions, but he's been great. Bowie Fermor, you can still see he's getting his match sense and match fitness back. Like, he's missing tackles that he wouldn't have missed in previous years, but coming back from an ACL injury, so it will take a little bit of time there. Jimmy Jolliffe, really poor in round one, but has responded brilliantly and was awesome against the Dolphins last week, scoring a try. Don't think he's a lock. Don't see any value in playing him as starting lock. I think we need to bring him off the bench. And the reason why is because Isaac Liu and Joe Stimson are two forwards that off the interchange, they're not really going to give you that impact or spark like Jimmy
I don't
would.
think we bring him off the bench because Tino's not here, so he's front row.
So you can start him at prop. That's another... And I think that is what makes perfect sense. But in terms of the momentum he's brought from us off the bench in previous years, Aaron Clark can't do it alone this year. Joe Stimson and Isaac Liu are consistent footy players. They're going to tackle and run hard to start a game. But I don't think they're going to bring momentum or spark from the bench. It's not quite their play style. Whereas Jimmy can do that for us. So he's almost a victim there where he doesn't get to start because he is so good off the bench. I'm trying to think of examples from other clubs, like a Spencer Laniu, for example. So I do agree with you. He does deserve to start, but selfishly, I think we need that momentum off the bench.
Well, Jimmy said this as well. Like, I've spoken to Jimmy and said, like, playing 13 this week is a bit of a, joke. And he goes, it's just a number on the back. And it pretty much is. Like, it is. Fans have this really defined way of thinking about roles and players of the numbers on the back. So they think that a back rower is drastically different to a front rower or a 13, when it's not actually the case. Like, it is different, but it's not as drastic as people do imagine. It's like a second rower to a centre is not that massive, right? You're still just kind of shifting one spot down the line, right? But obviously there are issues that are associated with that, and there are different thought processes. The only differences that are really, really significant is that the halves are defined, the hooker is defined, the fullback is defined, and the wingers are defined. Everybody else can kind of, there's not significant. It's just another spot down the line. But yeah, this is this is a hard conversation to have.
The only thing that I disagree with there is I view the spine as the lock position as almost part of the spine now, and it's kind of like a link man that does link between the halves and the forwards.
13 is part of the spine.
Yeah, it is
but
in the modern game.
But it's not drastically different to the back row and to the front row. It's not drastically. It's just that you're adding in a pass realistically.
Yes, you're adding that link role. Why it affects us so much is, and this is just how I see it, our halves aren't going the best at the moment. And then we don't have that link 13 as well, right? Like, if Jerome Luai and Nathan Cleary aren't going the best, Isaiah Yeo can step up and not alleviate it completely, but certainly mitigate some of that. We don't have that player, as can Patrick Carrigan for the Broncos, as can Tohu Harris, as can Victor Adley, Cam Murray. You guys get the idea. All of these elite teams kind of have that link man. But and Sammy Verrills, last player. Just think he's a brilliant attacking hooker. But the thing for Sam is he's had so many injuries over the last few years that for me, it's always been that great unknown of how high can he get to in his career. We've seen him start in a grand final and score for the Roosters when Jake Friend was injured and coming off the interchange. But because he had these injuries so often, it was kind of like Sam Verrills is really underrated. He just can't get on the field for a full season. And this year, it could be our forwards not generating enough momentum for Sam. But certainly coming off the bench, I expected a hell of a lot more punch in his game. I thought Chrissy Randall would get through the dirty stuff and Sammy would come on and do the pretty stuff. It hasn't really panned out that way either. So whether that means Desi tinkers and starts Sam, or he's so unhappy that Sam goes back to reserve grade and finds his confidence for a few weeks, I don't know. Do you have any direct thoughts on that or how Sam's season's panning out?
Well, it's not great. But then again, everyone's games this season, like I could tell you on one hand who's had a good season so far. One is Jimmy besides that first game, but one is Jimmy in the last 2 games. Chrissy Randall is having a really good defensive season. Obviously, attacking-wise, no. But for his job, he is having a good defensive season. That's 2. Cleese Haas is having a great season. I'll throw that out there. Not attacking-wise, maybe, but defensively, definitely. So that's 3. I would say that
Phil Sammy's been pretty solid.
Phil Sammy's been solid. Like, this last game was his best for sure. The Dolphins game was solid, so we'll give him 4. But the other 2 games were like, they were fine, you know. So I'll give him 4. What's that?
They were acceptable. They weren't at his Maroon standard where he was at last year.
Exactly right. They were acceptable, but this last game was good. So that's 4. Could you tell me another one that you would say has had a good season so far?
I'm proud of Chrissy Randall's effort. I think defensively he's defended really well, but we are missing that attack from him.
But he's never really been known as an attacking player.
But we still need something. Like I know we.
Well, I think that's what we need for Sammy. I think we need that from Sammy Verrills, if anyone, because Sam Verrills is I backed him in a whole heap of the way when he signed for the Roosters, saying this is the player. This is the player that will change us. And he had a good balance of defense and a good balance of attack. And I think Chris is doing exactly what he was signed for. I actually don't think that Chrissy was ever known as an attacker. He was always a tackling bot and very good defensively and did his job in regards to the attacking department. I need to see more from Verrills, but I think that Verrills is a starter. I think, personally, despite the fact that it hasn't been great, I think Verrills' confidence might be down because he's not starting. I think he probably does deserve to start. I would prefer Chrissy Randall off the bench. And I guess that depending on the result this weekend against the Cowboys, there could be a lot of changes after this Cowboys game, to be fair. But depending on that, I think next week we can come in with what our 17 each would come in like, right? Like what you would put as your 17 and what I would do. And it's probably going to be different and the fans are all going to have different and it's all opinions and whatnot. But that is assuming we lose. Like, I'm 100% backing us to win, man. Like, I'm not going to tip us, that's for sure. But I'm going to be up there and I'm going to be in the Titans fan bay and I'm going to be chanting as loud as I possibly can. I'm going to do my part because that's all we can damn well do. But I think that next week on the podcast, man, we go through what our 1 through 17s, what we would prefer to see, and I think that would be interesting to comparison.
Yeah, well, by that stage, we would have had 4 games, so a perfect month under our belts. You know, this is kind of a perfect segue away from that Dolphins game where we did, I suppose, deviate into deeper discussions. And let's go to our team list against the Cowboys before we preview that one. Changes this week are our wingers. Lofiana Khan-Pereira has been dropped and Philip Sammy is unavailable with injury. So Harley Smith-Shields and Jojo Fafita get called up. Interesting because we saw Aaron Schott play wing last year under the coaching of Jim Lenahan. So he is playing well for the Jets. So there was an option for him to come in there. He could have fallen down the depth order, or it could be Desi Hazel likes him as a centre.
Well, Shoopy is essentially a centre. Like, I know he came in as a winger on the Dogs game at the end of the season, but Shoopy is essentially a winger. You know, good to see Jojo there and good to see Harley there. I'm surprised Tony didn't get a crack.
Yeah, that is true, actually. Tony Francis is included in our reserves. He's 19th man, so technically still an option. But I would have to say unlikely.
I just think at least these guys are experienced on the wing in Harley and Jojo. Harley obviously coming from Canberra Raiders. Jojo has obviously played for us before. And I think there's a bit more experience there. Throwing Tony Francis into the fire could be the most detrimental thing for him. Even though he's a winger, and a winger is just a cherry on top position, guys, people always go, oh man, Brian Top was a different story actually, but they go, oh man, this player's out on the wing. Let's, for example, use the Knights, and we'll go Greg Matthew. Even though they have a lot of problems right now at the Knights in regards to their wingers, Like, you take Greg Marzhew out of the wing, that shouldn't define whether you win or lose that game, because that's the cherry on top. Your halves, your hooker, your fullback, we say it all the time, 13, whatever, they're the ones who get you the win. A winger is just about pretty much how much you can score, realistically, right? So I don't think that by taking a winger out, or putting a winger in, it changes necessarily a dramatic amount of result of the game. But I think if Tony Francis comes in and has the Titans have a bad game and they get rolled by the Cowboys, then that could be detrimental. So I think that would be. I think this is the smart idea from Des.
Yeah, so Halves Shields has started at wing 14 times in his career, and at centre 30 times. So, but I think he'll offer a nice early hit up, which does build on what we lose with Philip Sammy. No changes to the halves. Slight change in the forward rotation. Jamin Jolliffe moves to prop. Aaron Clark starts at lock. And that means, this is exciting, Josiah Pahulu gets the debut off the bench. He's someone we loved watching in the preseason. We've had our eye on for a year now. So
you wouldn't actually know this either, and I'm going to actually put this out there because you didn't go through the HostPlus Cup with me last week because you were over there scamming over there in Vegas, losing all your money. But HostPlus Cup, so last week Pahulu had a massive game. Let me just quickly go and get it. Ipswich Jets, I think he had like 40 tackles for no missed. Player stats.
Wow.
Jets, where is it? Josiah Pahulu, there it is. So he had 15 runs for 147 run meters, 70 of those post-contact, and he had 40 tackles made, no missed.
That's incredible because he was strong the week before as well. I remember we pointed it out and we said that he's close to a debut if he keeps that up. We didn't keep it up. He improved on it again, which is really exciting and awesome. Only changes I'd like to see to this side for this round, I would start Sammy Verrills. I would bump Chrissy Randall to lock. And the only reason I do that is because I want some spark off the bench with Aaron Clark that he brings. I think Dave Fafita can be that guy, but I don't want it all on his shoulders. So that's the only changes I'd make. But I do like this lineup 1 to 17. Of course, halfback as well. I wouldn't have minded seeing Tommy Weaver get a run there, but we've spoken about that in depth. How do you feel about this 17?
I personally, again, I would say I'd start Sammy Verrills. I'd have Chrissy Randall as the rotation off the bench like he was last year, and then can come in wherever necessary. I think that, we've got a bit of a situation in regards to that 13. Like, there is the potential that Jacob Arlott could have come in. I'm okay with Aaron being there. We just need to see him. He has been such a good lock in the past, man. We just need to see it again, right? But I was with him at the end of the game, the Dolphins, and he was pretty frustrated with the lack of being able to hold on to the ball and kind of stuff like that. So he is feeling it. And again, guys, these players do feel it. I think personally that Isaac Fa'asau-Malawi, I don't understand why he's not getting minutes for Tweed, and I don't understand why he's not getting a bench spot. I really would like him. And Joey Stimmer, love this guy. Actually, probably wasn't our worst against the Dolphins. Did his job. It worked hard. He is a hard worker, but I would love to see... And again, I love Joey. If he ever watches this, he knows I love him, right? But we've got to be honest here and have a bit of credibility about this podcast and who we are by saying that I believe Isaac Fa'asau-Malawi should be in this team because he did have that really, really good performance in the preseason. He really changed my view on who he was as a player from that preseason. And again, that could be an immediate reactionary fan thought process, and I get that, and that's why I trust in Desi. But I am not sure why Isaac doesn't get a look in at either Tweed or the NRL with the Titans. So there must be something that we don't know about.
Look, I just want to put this out here for our listeners because we've said this a few times this podcast, and we've said in the past where we say, I love this player, and then we go on to criticize them, or, I was so guilty of it before saying, I don't know whether I should say it or not. It's really difficult. It's really difficult because I mean it when I say it. And I'm sure you do as well. I love this playing group. The criticism that I'm offering is me being absolutely honest and how I'm seeing it. It's not how I want it to play out at all. And so that's why we put ourselves in this awkward situation where content creator to viewer, we have to kind of preface what we're saying with an apology because occasionally after games when we are waiting out for the team afterwards or going to these events, we want to talk to these players as human to human. And obviously, if we've sat in on a podcast and bagged them for 5 weeks in a row, kind of like what I did with Tanah before, I wouldn't say I was bagging him, but I was, criticizing him. He's probably going to say, go away. And then that's going to hurt me as a fan of the Titans. So we're in a tough spot, guys. We're sorry you have to listen to stuff like that so much. We're just trying to protect ourselves.
I'll double down on that. Yeah, I'll double down on that because people obviously will have the thought process like, go hard, like rip in. It's like you guys aren't putting...
Or shut up, stop saying it. I know how people would feel. It would be annoying.
Yeah, like guys, you don't have to put your reputation out there. Like that's why this is really hard because I see these guys at training. I see these guys at the game, after the game.
Captain's run.
I see them at the events, whether that be a post-game or a before-game or just an event that we're all at. I know these guys. I have personal relationships with these players, and I don't want to throw them under the bus. But we also do have to have the credibility of giving you some form of an honest answer without shitting on these guys. And because they do watch our stuff. A lot of these boys follow Clarkey. Some of these boys follow me. Right? And I do have personal conversations with them and whatnot. And I don't want to go out there and just fan appease, but I also don't want to go out there and just say, oh, this player's playing awesome. And he's not. But yet, it's a really difficult balance right now. And I think I said this last week, and it's actually been something that's been eating me up for a couple of weeks now because I've had to, this year, it's a really tough year to be a content creator for this team from Clarkey and myself, because we're kind of the only two content creators out there for this club, because we have to be kind of in the middle, and it's so we get criticised from the fans, and then we get I have been criticised by players too, and you guys know how positive I am, and at the end of the day, every single thing that we say is at the best interest, we believe, of the club. We're not trying to shit on the club. We're not trying to shit on the fans. We're not trying to shit on anybody. We're just trying to give our thought process to make you understand our thoughts, but also it's really, really difficult. It's really being difficult being in the middle of it. It's been such a mentally tough year, I won't lie.
Yeah, we're stuck in the middle, so all we can say to you guys is we are really sorry. We always have to preface that kind of stuff. It's just what adds a layer of protection for us and makes us feel comfortable. And then when we see the players, we're apologising to them too if we are critical. So we're stuck in the middle. We're not trying to get sympathy votes, guys. We're also just apologising that you have to listen to it. Cowboys beat us 2 times last year. We went 1-1 with them last year. My apologies. We defeated them 22-13 at Seagulls, and we met them in round 2 or 3 in Townsville.
No, it might have been round. I'll go. You keep talking. I'll go and have a look.
And that was a 24-12 point victory to them. But in that game, we did lose AJ Brimson to a hamstring injury and Kieran Foran to an ankle injury early on. At the time we suffered those injuries, we were up 12-0. So we were looking good. It was round 4. Blaze just mentioned to the camera there if you're listening as a podcast. So it was round 4. We weren't looking good there, though, guys. We go through the stats this year, and it's not pretty for us. We are averaging 6 points per game. They are averaging 30. We are conceding 30 per game, but they are conceding 25. We've only won 1 out of 5 games at Queensland Country Bank Stadium. So all cards kind of indicate to the Cowboys having the advantage here. They're also tackling at a higher percentage and completing at a similar rate to us as well. Look, it is concerning, mate. We're only averaging 6 points this year. But the Cowboys are conceding 25. Like, they have versed some good sides, but they're better in attack than they are defensively. So there is some of an opportunity there for us, particularly with attacking weapons like Dave coming from the bench, Jaden Campbell with another match under his belt. I want to tip us so bad, mate, but I'm just like, we were backs to the wall last week after that Bulldogs loss. I didn't think it could have got worse, and we got some bit of a response against the Dolphins, but it wasn't for that's right. And that has been an issue which has plagued us for a year and a half now, you could probably say. So I think we'll see positive signs of improvement in this game. I expect us to score somewhere between 20 points, 3 or 4 tries. I'm just not sure if we can limit the Cowboys' attack to less than that, because they do have some good attacking weapons. And most importantly for them, they're coming off a loss, which was kind of their reality check moment where... Exactly right. They were running hot. They were the only side that was undefeated in this competition, and they had a reality check. Back down to earth. Okay, you got to turn up with the right attitude each week. So this one will be a battle early on. because they are a side that's going to want to prove last week was an outlier. That's not the type of style of footy we play. And we're a side that if our backs could be any further to the wall, they now are, and we need to respond. So this will be a really physical battle in the first 20 minutes. Apologies, guys, I dropped out there, but the point I was making was I think it'll be a hard and fast start between both sides for different reasons. I do think they have a stronger forward pack realistically, so there is a chance they get over the top of us early. And then I look at our interchange, and whilst I do think Dave will bring good spark from the bench, I'm not sure if we'll be able to match it there either. So whilst I do think we'll have some signs of improvement in this game, and I don't think we're fully out of it. Like I'm not 100% saying we're going to lose. I have to lean with the way of the Cowboys. I think they'll get the win here. I think we'll get some positives as Titans fans. Are you seeing it the same way as me, or do you think with our backs to the wall we can respond and get a huge win here?
Well, I'll give us a bit of a positive. And the positive here, and I'll give you, because obviously we watch other games. I watch every single game on the channel. I do my live streams with you guys. Clarkey watches the games because he does content for Clarkey's Rugby League on as well. So I think you'll be able to agree with me here that the Cowboys, obviously, they beat the Dolphins and beat the Dolphins very, very well in round 1, 43-18 at Suncorp Stadium. But they then went on to round 2 and looked absolutely dreadful, pitiful, and still won 21-20 at Queensland Country Bank Stadium against the Knights. But that was not a good game for them and showed that they are susceptible to a loss. Now, their third game was against the Dragons, who, yes, I know, beat us and whooped us, whatnot. But everyone has been at the moment, which is a bad sign. But the Cowboys won 46-24. Very slow start, just like the very slow start in the Knights game as well. And the Dragons were up and the Cowboys ran home. So there's a positive to take out of the fact that those first 3 games, yes, the Dolphins was a good game for them, really good, they looked great. But the Knights and Dragons, they didn't look the perfect product. And then you go to that round 4 game against the Broncos, which I predicted. I thought that, look, you look at those early 3-round matchups, forget the fact that you're a Titans fan for a second. The Knights, the Dragons, and the Dolphins. I know 2 of those teams whooped us. But the Knights, the Dragons, and the Dolphins are 3 teams that are not that great. And they had a nice little easy schedule. They take on their first good team of the draw, the Broncos, and they lose 38-12 there. And Renault absolutely booted them into oblivion. Now, apparently, I believe the weather this weekend is not meant to be great up there. And it's not. On Sunday, it's meant to be raining. On Sunday, it's meant to be raining. Now, they got whooped by the Broncos in the rain, and they looked awful in the rain. So maybe, and it's meant to be raining pretty heavy at the time of this game. So I hate the fact that I'm having to look at the weather to give us a good thought process here. But the weather is going to be quite strong in regards to the rain. So hopefully we can get Tanah, getting those high balls up and putting Drinkwater under pressure, because the Broncos put a lot of pressure on them. So
5 errors.
5 errors. You know, the Cowboys. Yeah, exactly right. So, Drinkwater. Yeah, he did have 5 errors. Still had a good couple of moments in the game, but overall had a lot of errors. So this Cowboys team is not the perfect product, despite the win-loss record of 3-1. The way we have to go into this game, and we're 5.75 underdogs. So if you think we win, you know, good on you, because it's a big, tough one to predict to tip us in this one. And I think that if on a realistic level, looking at this game, yeah, everyone's going to be on the Cowboys, and yeah, you probably should tip the Cowboys, but we just need to go in with this is our last chance. Even though it may not be our last chance, because there is still a long season to come, and we've seen teams turn around before. We're 0-3. We're not 0-4. Manly twice have gone from 0-4 to go into a prelim with Desi Hasler. And the Cowboys, the team we're playing this week, were 0-3 or 0-4 in 2015 and won the comp. Right? So, and people at the time thought their players were shithouse. But at the end of the day, and people think our players are shithouse now, that can all change around the drop of a hat. This is why I keep reminding you, reactionary fans. So there is a positive to take out of the fact the Cowboys are not the finished product. But yes, it is scary as a Titans fan going into this game, knowing we're playing North Queensland. But hopefully the weather does favour us. Hopefully, you know, Tanah has that last game mentality. We just need to get it done, and he gets it done. And then we have that, you know, a little bit more belief in the 7 department and in the halves. You know, hopefully we get through this game unscathed with no injuries, and we just need to see our boys, you know, really turn up, because I know they care. They just need to turn up. It's just as simple as that. So, look, I've tipped the Titans every single week so far. I will tip against us for the sole purpose of hopefully it's me. Blame me. You know, throw it at me or throw it at Clarkey. We've tipped the Titans every single week. Well, guess what? Now that we're not tipping them, maybe they'll win, and hopefully they'll win. And I will be drinking and partying in Townsville all Sunday night if we win this game. I'll be going crazy.
And, last time we versed the Cowboys, we actually both tipped them as well due to that 6-game winning streak they were on.
We did. Yeah, you're right. We did both tip against us and we won that one. Yeah.
That was the first time in the 2023 season we were both tipping against us. There were weeks where I was saying we wouldn't win. You held the faith. That was the first week we were both. And it's the same as this year. So hopefully that repeats itself. My key to victory in this one, make it a dogfight. Turn up and make it a dogfight. Exactly how the Canberra Raiders play, mate. They win and it's not pretty. Exactly how the Rabbitohs won against the Bulldogs. They won and it wasn't pretty, but they needed to win.
I think the Rabbitohs one was a little bit different, but I understand what you're saying. But yeah,
it was ugly.
It's just not great.
It was very ugly, but I don't care, mate. I'll take that sort of win. So what I'm saying is, if you Smith, Shields, Kelly, Brimson, Jojo, Fafita, come in, take those early hit-ups for us. Get us on the front foot. We go to the forward pack. The Cowboys have stronger middles than us. They have a stronger lock than us. They have stronger edge forwards than us. And they have a stronger bench than us. I don't care. Turn up, boys. We're not expected to win this, but if we turn up and make it a dogfight and we fight for every millimetre, we can win this game. We can win this game.
We weren't expected to win against the Cowboys last year. We did it. We're not expected to win this game here this time round. Guess what? We're going to do it.
Exactly. And if the weather is wet, this suits us. We don't want to be throwing the footy around playing flashy footy like Scotty Drinkwater does for them. That's my key to victory, mate. Make it a dogfight. Every player fight for each other. I know it's cliche. I know it's not technical in terms of some of the other keys to victory we give. But I think in this one, it is as simple as that. We must fight for everything. We must turn up for each other. And whether it's rain, hail, or sunshine, we've got to fight for every single millimetre on that field. If we do that, well, correction. If any football side does that in a professional competition where there is a salary cap applied, they are a chance of winning. It's as simple as that. Wet weather footy last year. Tigers beat the Panthers in Bathurst. Wet weather footy brings out some strange results, Titans fans. So whilst I fully expect a lot of you will be in the same boat as us, you don't want to officially tip us, that doesn't mean we should abandon hope and go into this one with a losing mindset, because we can still win it and we need to get behind this team. So that's my message. That's my key to victory. Go the Titans. Hopefully we can get this job done.
Can I just throw this out there to talk, just throw a bit of positivity before we do end the podcast, because obviously we're coming to the back end now, is that I want you to put yourself into a mind frame. Right now, we are at our lowest, right? Can you imagine if we win a game, we go on a run, and we actually have a successful season? Can you imagine how it will actually feel to support the winning team as they're going on a run? I don't remember how it feels to support a successful team in regards to rugby league. Like, obviously, I've got other teams in other sports, but they don't mean as much to me about the Titans.
Yep.
Can you remember how it feels to support a team going well?
I do, until a certain player took a nibble out of Sean Johnson's arm in 22. Let's not go there. That was a great run until such moment. But look,
we did have the finals game of 2021, but then again that ended on such a harsh note that we forgot about it. But at least it was exciting to be there. 2016, it's like the last time I remember us really feeling that energy and that vibe would probably be, I think a couple of years ago, we started the season off actually in first for the first 4 or 5 weeks.
I've got the highlights on my YouTube channel when I
love how I was
in year 12. I edited it up. I remember Albert Kelly was on fire. Dude, this is the thing for Titans fans. This is the thing, mate. Like the 3 examples we just provided then end in heartbreak. Can we just please have our moment? But anyway, look, the Cowboys shown last week, they cannot harness a Bronco. They can't ride. This week they'll be shooting blanks against the Gold Coast Titans, who will simply have too much for a side that has a fullback that makes too many errors. They are actually all going pretty well. I can't even really pick out any more players. Stuff the Cowboys. Go the Titans. Sorry it was a longer episode, but we appreciate you being here anyway.
I think people would have liked the fact that it was a longer episode, man. People need to hear.
Hopefully
they need to hear things right now.
Yes, they want assurance. Hopefully we gave some levels of assurance and didn't raise more questions and answers we might have. That's the reality of this situation. But the important thing is we are a community. We are united. We stick together. This is more than a logo to everyone that listens to this podcast every single week. And we love this team, and we're going to support this team with everything we've got. So with that in mind, we say thank you very much. We look forward to seeing you next week to hopefully recap a big win over the Cowboys. Thank you from myself, and over to you, Blaze, for some famous last words. What have you got for us this week, mate? How are you going to sign this one off? There's pressure's on.
Oh, mate, don't you worry, son. Well, you kind of tried to go down the pun route there, but I don't think that you got it. Like you did the shooting blanks for Adam. So we'll see what Adam says. So he'll message me to give it a rating out of 10 in regards to that one. But yeah, look, guys, obviously we appreciate you for listening in. I hope you guys understand where we come from in regards to the fact that we are in the middle and we have to remain balanced without going too far here and too far there, because we have to remain credible and have an opinion. But we also don't want to be throwing players and throwing people under the bus, right? So it's very difficult where we are, and it's been a really mentally challenging week or weeks or season so far. But at the end of the day, we are here for the club, and if you're an organisation member listening to this, or a fan listening to this, or a player listening to this, at the end of the day, all we want is this club to be successful. I want to be able to look around at Seagulls Stadium and see happy faces, not sad faces. I don't want to have to be, getting angry. I don't want to see people swearing and whatnot and carrying on. I want to see people having the time of their life at Seagulls Stadium. So, obviously that's not the case right now, but that's the whole purpose of what we both do, myself and Clarkey, on this podcast, and we hope you have enjoyed. So we'll see you guys next week. Obviously, I'll be at Townsville. Like I said, hope to see you guys at the pre-game function, which we'll leave a link to in the description. Also, Clarkey will be there next week with me. I'll be there as well, obviously in Canberra. And hopefully we'll see you guys down there. But much love. We're keeping on cracking on. And don't you worry, babe. We're going to be this weekend, son. We're going to be Go on, Clark. Give me a yeehaw. Give me a yeehaw.
Yeehaw! The return of Premiership muscle.
Yeah. They're just shooting out of your muscles. Just shooting out of the... shooting out.